Sometimes when I have an idea I want to present and I can't think of how I'm going to get this idea across, I'll just take a little walk in the woods and think it through. And I have an idea. I have something I'd like you to think about. So why don't you join me for a little walk in the woods? Let's talk about this idea. We even have dogs that join us. Well, I want to start with a story. There's a place in a big palace where a bunch of mice live. I'll just keep it simple. There's a whole community of mice live in this palace. And at night they sneak out and try to get some leftover royal crumbs. But what happens very often is they'll run out to grab a crumb or a piece of cheese or some food that's left out or fallen on the floor. One of the mice will go out to get it, and the cat will get them. It's a big problem because the cat keeps picking off the mice, so the mice decide to have a council. All the mice get together and decide to discuss this problem. When they go out to get food, the cat comes, catches a mouse, and they lose one of their members. Everybody's sad. It's a big disaster, so they got to solve this problem. And they argue and argue and argue, and everybody has different ideas, and they can't come to agreement on anything. And finally, the CEO of mice says, I know what we need to do. It's very simple. We put a bell around a cat, and from then on, we'll know when the cat is coming. We'll hear the bell. We can clear out. The cat won't get us. And they all nod their heads and say, that's great. Terrific idea. Brilliant, boss. That's great. Excellent idea. And one of the mice doesn't look too happy. And the boss, the CEO, says, Chris, what's wrong with you? You don't look like you like my idea. I say, well, there's a problem. He says, yeah, what? Who is going to put the bell on the cat? And this goes to the heart of the core of what I like to teach business. And that is, it's the small ideas, the small solutions aggregate to the big results. But the CEOs, the boss, the business manager always wants the big, grand idea. But the problem is, who's going to bell the cat? And that's usually where the problem lies, is who's going to bell the cat? Why do we need this gigantic, expensive, huge, changing idea? Why don't we just do this? When we send a mouse out to get the cheese, why don't we just always have a lookout mouse? And the lookout mouse can say the cat's coming, and the other mouse can focus on getting the food. And when the lookout mouse says there's a cat, he's coming, then the retrieving mouse can run back in the hole. It's not very sophisticated. It's not a very sexy answer, is it? But it's a practical answer. It's a simple solution. And I think too many times in business, we want big answers for small problems. And I would encourage you to think about simple, small, obvious things. Can be much more practical than the big, sexy solution. Well, thanks for joining me on this walk. Can you think about that when you look at the answer to a problem, or you have that new program you're going to launch, that new avenue you're going to embark on, a new product or a new marketing idea, ask yourself, are we belling the cat, or are we doing something that's practical and makes sense and is almost assured to aggregate into something positive? Which is it? Belling the cat, or are we doing something that makes sense?